Are we going to see a July surprise? Are we going to see a sudden change in the presidential race? Now, we have resisted these stories for a couple months. Oh, they're going to pull Biden. Oh, they're going to pull Biden. Oh, they're going to pull Biden. Because it just didn't look as if those pieces were together yet. But two things happened yesterday. Two important things. The first of which happened in the state of Iowa. The great state of Iowa, the Hawkeye state. Now, in polling, there are good polls, there are great polls, and then there are A-plus polls. There are polls that are sterling in their predictive ability. Iowa has the Des Moines Register poll. This is considered to be a sterling poll. This poll is accurate within a point or two in the Iowa caucus. It is the best. Its track record is remarkable. The headline is actually not even as accurate as the essence of the article. The headline is, Iowa poll finds Trump leads Biden by double digits among likely Iowa voters. But it's even worse for Democrats than that. It shows that it's not double digits, it's nearly 20 points. To give you an idea, Donald Trump won Iowa in 2020 by 8 points. That shows that Donald Trump is outperforming his 2020 number by 10 points in the Hawkeye state. To put this in perspective, Barack Obama won Iowa when he ran for president. This used to be a battleground state. The thing that matters is this. This poll is traditionally very accurate. It is a gold standard poll. It is 10 out of 10. And if Trump is actually up 18 points in Iowa, there's no way that he's down in Wisconsin. And if you win Wisconsin and you win Arizona and you win Georgia, Donald Trump is the 47th president of the United States. If he is up 18 in Iowa, he is dead even in Minnesota. If he is really up 18 in Iowa, that means that he is doing amazingly well in Pennsylvania. This poll has the Democrat leaders and oligarchs very worried. Yesterday, sudden chatter emerged, and it happened almost simultaneously. This Iowa poll was released, and it seems as if we are getting ready for a July surprise. Now, everyone is used to October's surprise. Remember the Access Hollywood tape back in 2016? But this year, we might see everything a lot earlier. There are two huge swerves that have the potential to totally throw the 2024 election into chaos. Donald Trump up 18 in Iowa. The Democrats are not going to surrender the presidency of the United States, especially given the mandate that we have to reform the administrative state, to crush the deep state. They know that if they lose the presidency, we might actually be able to re-center the country. We might, dare I say, do a right-wing revolution. They're not going to surrender this easily. So there are two things remaining that very well might happen. One will happen in July. That could be the July surprise instead of the October surprise. Again, I'm not big at looking at poll after poll, but when I see a Des Moines Register poll, this is as good as it gets. It's the gold standard. And Democrats agree. There is no spin. There is no BS. It is full freakout mode. So there are two things that very well might happen in July, and we must be ready. Number one, July 11th. Mark your calendars. Say your prayers. July 11th will be one of the most consequential days in modern American history. On July 11th, our presumptive nominee, and not yet our nominee, because remember, the convention is a week after, and a former president of the United States will stand in a courtroom and be sentenced to something. Judge Merchan has full authority to do the following. Judge Merchan has the ability to say, Mr. Trump, you are to go to Rikers Island right now. He could sentence him to jail right then and right there and say, 34 count felony? He might want to make Donald Trump roommates with Steve Bannon in Rikers Island. Our candidate and the former president could be sent to jail on July 11th. Now, people say, oh, that's unlikely because he's a first-time offender, former president. None of the rules apply any longer. The rules of politics are all out the window. You have Donald Trump up 18 points in Iowa with a gold standard poll. And you guys know I don't like looking at polls very much. We cover like 1 out of 100 polls. This is a gold standard poll. This means that Donald Trump is going to defeat Joe Biden at the current trajectory, if this poll is true. And we're ballot chasing, we're doing all this stuff. This is now a bare-knuckle brawl. And you think the Obamas and the Pelosi's and the Schumers, they're just going to say, well, here's the presidency, Mr. Trump. Be our guest. You think they're going to surrender it? No, Judge Merchan is getting lobbied quietly and publicly. The lawfare is coming to a crescendo on July 11th. And Judge Merchan could say 4 years in prison. Or even worse, if he tries to be some sort of moderate, imagine this scenario. If Judge Merchan says, in mid-November, you have to report to prison for a year. Imagine he creates a talking point of, well, can Donald Trump actually serve as president? The answer is yes. You can run from prison. You can serve from prison. This is a bare-knuckle brawl. Democrats are the political equivalent of the Bloods or the Crips in prison, sticking a shiv into the side of their target. Trump is their target. You are the target. I am their target. Our movement is the target. Here's a CNN clip of Aaron Burnett gloating, celebrating quietly that Steve Bannon had his request to Club Fed denied. Understand, what is Steve Bannon's crime? A misdemeanor for contempt of Congress that Eric Holder and Merrick Garland were never held accountable for? No, they're trying to kill Steve Bannon. And we are honored to follow him every day on Real America's Voice. Listen carefully, everybody. He won't talk about this in his show because he doesn't talk about this stuff, so I'm going to talk about it. They're trying to kill Steve Bannon. They're trying to murder him. This is revenge for the 2016 campaign. Assassination has been a political weapon for centuries. This is CNN telling you that Steve Bannon is now going to have to serve time potentially in Danbury, Connecticut, where there are violent offenders, and she makes a point to mention it. She even makes a point to mention that they're not in cells or cages. It's an open-air prison. She knows what she's saying. She's dog whistling to the CNN audience, hey guys, Steve Bannon might be dead by November. And I know that might sound cruel. That's how these people operate. They want us dead. I know it from the death threats against me and my family every single day. And they want Donald Trump to serve alongside of him. Play cut 60.
Breaking news, Steve Bannon denied his request for the so-called Club Fed when he's forced to report to prison. Sources telling CNN that the longtime Trump ally will not get a cushy prison assignment, but is likely to serve time in a Connecticut prison where he could be placed with violent criminals and sex offenders, a prison that does not have individual cells, but rather an open pod layout for inmates. And CNN is learning tonight that there is also a chance Bannon could be sent to New York City's infamous Rikers Island.
That's weird reporting. Why do you report that it's near violent criminals and sex offenders and an open-air prison? Oh, because you're hoping that that Steve Bannon gets murdered or raped. That's why, Aaron Burnett, because you are a sick, perverted person. That's why. That's what we're up against. They want us dead.